Let's talk about exercise balls. Exercise balls, birth balls, same exact thing. As far as sizes, the size that I'm using today is 65 inches, and this is generally a good size if you are 5'9" or taller, or I'm sorry, 5'9" or smaller. I am 5'1"-ish to give you an idea. The other thing that you want to keep in mind with your exercise ball is make sure that it's fully inflated. A lot of times I see them not fully inflated and the moms are sitting on them, but they're kind of rounding their spine and tucking the tailbone. We want to make sure that it's fully inflated and you can untuck the tailbone and get the sits bones to separate. So we're opening the pelvic outlet. We're also taking pressure off. So as you progress through your pregnancy and things get heavier, sitting on the exercise ball can really take some of that pressure off. So I recommend if you sit a lot for work to alternate how you sit. You can sit on your chair for a while, you can sit on your ball for a while, you can do this at home when you're watching TV. But basically we're doing this to reduce pain and tension, to help position baby, to open the pelvic outlet, all of that good stuff to prepare for the birth of our baby. So I'm going to show you a couple of different poses today. We'll start with seated positions. So when you're sitting on the exercise ball, the legs should be 90 degrees or very slightly higher. What we never want is for the hips to be lower than the knees. So if you sit down on your ball and the hips are lower than the knees, you either need to inflate the ball or you need to get the neck size up. So knees and hips, 90 degrees, or the hips are very slightly higher. And the knees are always going to be wide, so we're opening. So you're going to go ahead and sit on it. Make sure that you have some stability. You don't want to be on a slippery floor. Sometimes you need to kind of get up close to a couch or a wall, or have someone sit or stand behind you for that support. So make sure that you are not going anywhere when you're on the ball. So we're going to have a seat. Spread the sits bones apart, move some of that flesh away so you can really ground into the ball, feel the pelvic floor, and just sit up nice and tall. So just sitting like this and working can be really beneficial for your posture and your low back. Nice deep breaths, breathing down to your baby, expanding into the rib cage. This is how you sit on the ball. So movements that we can do is cat-cow. So we'll start with cat-cow. So just like we do in tabletop, you're going to inhale, lift the heart, let the belly spill forward. Tailbone is untucking behind us. And then as you exhale, you can round the spine. A lot of times it feels nice to move a little bit here. And then lift and round. And just kind of play with it. So seated, cat-cow tilts. Stretching into the upper back. And the most common is just rocking the hips. So rocking the hips side to side. And then rocking the hips in circles. So a lot of the moms that I work with will hop on the exercise ball and do all of this type of stuff when they're trying to prep for labor. So just getting that movement in the pelvis, getting baby to engage, giving them space, and helping reduce tension in the body. And we always do the opposite direction. So what we do on one side, we always do on the other. If we move in one direction, we always move in the opposite because we're creating balance. And balance in the body is really important during pregnancy because we want the body to be balanced. We want baby to get into a good position so birth is a little easier and a little shorter. You're going to take your circles in all the directions. And then we're going to change it up and we're going to turn them into figure eights. So this one takes a little bit more mental work, just drawing those figure eights. And we're going to draw them sideways, and then you're going to draw them in the opposite direction. And it's just like you're drawing a figure eight with your tailbone or with your hips. And then we're going to go front to back. So you're going to take the circle forward and back I take it in the opposite direction as well. It feels really nice, releasing any tension you might have in the hips, or the hip flexors, or the back. And we'll come on back. And for labor prep, a lot of my moms will bounce. So, if you're getting close to your due date, you want things to happen, get on that exercise ball, do all the stuff, and then also sit and just bounce. We're using gravity to help bring baby down and get their head to position on the cervix. And that's how labor will ultimately begin. So that's something you can do for birth prep. And then after you have your baby, holding your baby and bouncing. So this ball you can use pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and then your kids get older and it becomes a toy. So it's definitely a good $12 investment. So those are the seated positions. From here, we're going to transition into tabletop. So in tabletop, I usually recommend that you have cushion underneath you, so a pillow or a blanket if your floor is hard. So I'm on a wood floor, I'm going to use a blanket underneath for a little extra support. These are also positions that you can do during relaxation practices. So if you listen to meditations or you do breathing techniques or anything like that, you can also use the exercise ball and come into these positions while you do that practice. So just a tabletop, and it's nice to add in some movement. And you're just gonna let the belly hang like a hammock. You also want to make sure that the knees are at least hip distance apart, maybe wider if you're further along and you need more space. I'm just rocking. When we come into these positions where we're leaning forward, we're taking the weight of baby off the back of the body. And as you progress through pregnancy, that can feel amazing. Child's pose here. Knees wide so you have space, toes together. You should make sure you have space for baby. And then your arms can come up. And you can do the arms however feels best. And again, you can rock. You can be still. Again, we're letting the belly come forward like a hammock. Pressure off the back. Nice stretch. Giving baby the opportunity to get into a good position. So child's pose. We can do a heart opener here as well, opening the front of the body. So you can stay in child's pose or you can come back into table. And you're just going to lean forward, letting the heart come down towards the floor. This feels really good in the chest. You can also do one arm at a time. Let's say this arm is really tight. I'm going to do this one first. And just lean into it. I'm supported. You can let this arm hang. You can reach it through. Let's do the other side. Just a nice stretch. Or do both. So we can do the child's pose stretch. You can do that in tabletop as well, but just make sure that you feel supported. The last one here is one of my favorites. So one leg is going to come forward, and there's plenty of space for baby. And you're just going to bring the ball in so your upper body and your torso can relax. And then maybe you're still, or maybe you add in some movement. You can hang out here. And then eventually, you'll do the same thing on the other side. And I'm just going to move so you can see it from a different perspective. The leg is forward, plenty of space for baby. And then you're just leaning onto the ball. So these are really good positions for pregnancy and also for birth. So you can use these positions and movements and this ball during your labor process. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.